Hey, and welcome to Internet Roundup. That is Josh Clark. I'm Chuck Bryant, and
that's Chuck Bryant.
during working hours, we sit in the studio and record Stuff You Should Know podcast. But after hours, we pour up a flask of Courvoisier.
Got it down here.
We dim the lights, and we round up the internet, 2 at a time. Should we have some special music for this? Hey, Casey, can we get some special music?
Great. He's being non-committal.
I looked up in there, and you looked right over at Casey.
Where did you look?
I just looked in the ether like,
Oh, I see.
You got that, Casey?
It suddenly turned into an MC Escher drawing.
Exactly.
There, I'm there.
So the first thing we have on the docket today is an article entitled China Plans Housing for 3.4 Billion People.
Right.
And the first article I found, what was that from?
It was
Reuters?
a piece of garbage. It
Forbes?
was Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
Somebody wrote a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
Get their hands on the press release.
The Chinese press release.
Put it through Google Translate and was like, look at this stupid. Look at these idiots. They can't even talk right, basically. That was the Bloomberg article.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's what they had done until I started reading through the Google translated version, and it made no sense whatsoever.
No, and there wasn't even no outro.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah, so do better, Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Do better, Google Translate.
I think more do better, Bloomberg.
Agreed.
Hire a translator yourself.
Yeah.
That was just terrible. It turns out the story's a little more nuanced than the garbled Google Translate press release version would have you believe.
It was. So here's the deal. We did find a good article with an actual real Chinese person who wrote it and translated it into American English. It was very helpful.
Did a very good job.
And she says China's population right now is 1.4 billion. And what's going on is the government is projecting, and some say way over projecting,
right,
the population in the future by building housing for 3.4 billion people, which is
right,
like a little less than half of the world's population right now, right?
Right. By 2030, I think,
yeah,
they're going to have enough housing to house half of today's world population. That's
yeah.
way too much, but it's not. It's a breakdown of. It's basically bureaucracy gone awry.
Sure.
Right. So the central government has said, hey, we have an urbanization plan where we want 60% of our population urbanized in the next X number of years, right? So local governments are scrambling to get their populations into urban centers because the whole idea is if you urbanize your population, you can increase your GDP. Get them out of the rural areas and into the cities. You can put them to work in factories and make a lot more money as a country, right? So there's an urbanization plan.
Yeah.
The thing is they just need 100 million people moved to the cities by within the next 4 years. Certainly not another 2 billion that don't even exist yet. And the reason why so much housing is being planned on the local level is because the local governments can sell state-owned land to developers and then take that money and give it to meet their quotas to the central government for the tax money they have to do, right?
Yeah, it's all very interesting. They with projections, including the ability to have a second child now, they're saying it's way overshot. And experts say that they actually see it peaking population-wise in 2030 and then actually going down by 2050 to 1.6 billion people.
I saw even lower than that, 800 million.
Really?
Yeah, that by the end of the century, it could go down to 800 million.
And they're not, if the way I understand it is they're not just building okay, here's some apartments. Aren't they trying to literally build new towns?
Yes.
Completely, different sized towns.
Yeah.
And relocate folks who apparently don't want to be there.
Yeah, or who don't even exist yet. It may never exist, you know? 2 billion people within, a number of years are not going to move to China.
So perhaps they are building abandoned cities.
Oh, yeah. And they are. I saw this. Remember when Vice first came out?
Yeah.
One of the first things they did was a short form video on one of those abandoned built cities that they built, and it never was populated. Yeah. And they interviewed the 2 people that lived in this whole city.
I think I remember that.
It was really neat.
Yeah,
and just really creepy. But there's just so many problems with that. First, it's just a waste of money.
Sure.
Secondly, if you provide services to these people, you're providing services to like 2 people. There's just a lot of problems with. No, it's not. But that seems to be like what they're going to keep doing.
Yeah, I do remember that because I would remember watching it and thinking, this is like Night of the Comet.
Very much so. And there was also, I think it might have been in the same video or else it was in a different one. There's a huge, huge shopping mall that they built in China. Some developer built in China that was like from the start empty. But it was so nice and new, they had to hire security to patrol the place. But there was no one there. There were no stores, and it was just eerie.
Yeah, that is creepy.
Yeah.
That's a horror movie waiting to happen.
For sure.
The Night security
of the Comet.
guard. Yeah, remember that?
That was a great movie.
It's 80s movie, by the way.
Go watch it. It was a great 80s movie.
I doubt if it's available on your Delta flight right now.
It was on Netflix for a while.
Not the same.
No, it's true. For now.
All right, the next thing we have is something you found, which is a really interesting story entitled "The Man in the Steel Cylinder," and it is about a male human being, deceased, that was found in Liverpool in a steel cylinder that was dug up after one of the German blitzes. This bulldozer that, basically this town was leveled, so the bulldozer was cleaning it up, found this steel cylinder, and it just kind of became
part of the town.
Yeah, like you said, kids would sit on it and play on it, and they didn't know there was a body inside.
No, it sat there for I think like 2, 3, 4 years maybe. And it wasn't until one of those kids was playing on it that they were like, what's inside here? And they looked into one of the ends of the cylinder that had been crimped shut by the bulldozer that found it, and found a foot.
I'm sure that kid was excited and horrified.
He was like, ghost.
So what they did was they said, all right, let's try and figure out who this dude was.
Well, yeah.
And I love this. It said, dressed in Victorian style with a brick wrapped in burlap for a pillow.
No idea why.
That was nice. It's better than just a brick.
But why would he even need a pillow? He was upright.
Well, I don't think he was always upright, was he?
Initially, yeah.
Oh, really? Well, did they have the brick fastened to the wall of the cylinder?
I don't know. I'm totally thrown by that fact, that there was a brick wrapped in burlap.
I guess they were just trying to make him comfortable in the afterlife.
And
what's more comfortable than a brick wrapped in burlap?
Okay, so is your...
Maybe a bag of tacks wrapped in wool.
Right. Or, yeah. I'll go with that one.
That's a good one.
Brain's still off.
So what they did was they did a little investigating. They found there were all kinds of things inside the cylinder, like postcards and receipts from 1885, all of them from 1885, journals that unfortunately were illegible, and they said, maybe it's from 1885 and not 1942.
Well, yeah. At first, though, they were like, surely this man has not been in the cylinder for 60 years in the middle of town.
Yeah.
All these people have walked past and kids have sat on after it fell over.
Sure.
And it turned out, it almost certainly was a guy who went in there in 1885. And they actually think they know who it was.
Yeah, Thomas Cregan Williams there was a paint manufacturing plant that he owned, and they thought it was either him or his son. And the factory closed, and there were all kinds of theories, like maybe he went in there and died from fumes of natural causes, or
because there was a fume vent shaft that he was originally found in, right?
Or maybe he was murdered and stuffed in there
and left with a brick.
Well, sure.
Here's your brick pillow, sucker.
Maybe that was a murder weapon.
Oh, maybe. They wrapped it in burlap to soften the blow.
Sure. A kinder, gentler bludgeoning.
I'm sorry about this.
And then one of the theories was, or maybe he killed someone because of it was a big deal when this paint factory closed.
Right.
It was like very controversial. Maybe he had someone killed and stuffed him in there.
Yeah. And then tried to disappear, assume that body would be found and thought to be him.
Because he disappeared in 1885.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The reason he disappeared in 1885 is because he climbed into a paint fume vent shaft.
Yeah, that's what I think
happened.
Yeah, so what is it, the simplest explanation?
Yeah, Occam's razor.
Yeah, that's right. Occam's razor.
I love that one. That was from a site called Passing Strangeness, by the way, which is a pretty neat site.
Yeah,
not
ultimately
updated regularly enough, in my opinion, but the stuff on there is neat.
So are you charging them to get on it? Put out new stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Pick up the pace?
Yeah, charge. I was like, how? How can I do that? Yes, I'd love to.
I don't mean charge them monetarily.
Right.
Yeah.
Task them.
Even better. So eventually they said death by unknown means. They kind of just said, why are we wasting our time on this?
or misadventure.
Death by misadventure? Yeah. It usually means you're doing something exciting at first.
Or extremely stupid. Like,
sure.
Oh, my cat's out on the roof of my 19-story building. Let me just climb out on the ledge to get it. And
would that be death by misadventure?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Classic definition. You could put that on a T-shirt.
Well, maybe we should. All right. That's it. We've rounded up 2 more things. The internet is this much smaller.
And somebody just added like 8 more things.
So we'll see you next time on Internet Roundup.